Woke up late, charts on fire, red and green like a funeral pyre. Discord screaming LFG, but my portfolio's haunting me. Spiked my coffee with regret. Last night I longed to break out bet. Now I'm broke, not broken yet. Just one more pump, I won't forget. Buy high, die huddling. The gen brain dopamine's controlling. Ride the whale or get wrecked clean. This crypto dream's a guillotine. Fake guru with 1,000 subs showed me coins in shady clubs. Promised moons, Lambos and jets. Now I'm left with JPEGs and debts. Scalped my soul in a 5-minute chart. Market dumped and it ripped my heart. But I'll reload, I'll play to win. Even if I lose it all again. Buy high, die huddling. Gas fees burn, but I keep rolling. Almost gone, greed's the king. This crypto dream's a punk rock thing. With the crack in the glass, risk it all, no brakes, full gas. Liquidation, call me sweet. Whisper welcome to defeat. No stop loss, no regrets. Code and chaos, no safety nets. Satoshi's ghost in my DMs told me to ape again and again. Buy high, die huddling. Gas fees burn, but I keep rolling. If I crash, at least I tried. In this wild west of blockchain rights. I'll be trading till the lights go out. Shots of noise, but I live for the sound. One candle spike, and I'm back in town. Crypto's a fight, and I'm 10 toes down. Diamond hands with the crack in the glass. Risk it all, no brakes, full gas. But I'll reload, I play to win. Even if I lose it all again. Woke up late, charts on fire, red and green like a funeral pyre. Discord screaming LFG, but my portfolio's haunting me. Spiked my coffee with regret. Last night I longed to break out bet. Now I'm broke, not broken yet. Just one more pump, I won't forget. Buy high, die huddling. The gen brain dopamine's controlling. Ride the whale or get wrecked clean. This crypto dream's a guillotine. Fake guru with 1,000 subs showed me coins in shady clubs. Promised moons, Lambos and jets. Now I'm left with JPEGs and debts. Scalped my soul in a 5-minute chart. Market dump.
What's up, guys? Hope you had an awesome holiday. Let's take a look at the sound, make sure it's going through. All right, cool. We're good. Who we got in the chat? We got Wayne. What's up, man? Sterling. How's it going, Sterling? Manny. Loved your Bitcoin Santa video. Absolute gold. Thanks, man. It was a lot of fun. Diamond Palm, Big Chizzy. What's up? Ramus, Noah, DJ, Andrew. Good morning, man. Coma. You're sick. I'm like getting over something too, so I feel you, bro. The holidays, especially if you have kids. Seems to be the trend every Christmas. What's up, Alex Crypto? How you doing, man? And oh, you have the flu. It's going around. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. All right. Well, let's get to it, guys. The market, luckily, has barely done anything over the holidays. It's just been chilling. Very slow moves until maybe a couple quick moves here and there, but they were illiquid moves, so we ended up retracing them, both those moves. So we have some internal price action going on right now, still within this 40-day range that we've been dancing inside for a while now. But yeah, get your measurement tool from the left where the supply began until the point of mitigation to where we currently are. About 42 days, been ranging here. The 50-day EMA is starting to catch up with the value area high of this range. So if we manage to mitigate this hourly order block and find support above this value area high, we might have the confluence of that 50-day being broken as well. We do know that we still have a lot of liquidity pooled up here, but since it's been so long, we took a break from the holidays. I'm going to take a look at the liquidity heat maps from the past 40 some days here in this range and mark our key levels, and then we'll start to zoom in more internally here to see what we can find for some key levels for some short-term trades today. Okay, so let's grab, we're gonna go to CoinGlass. I'm gonna head to CoinGlass's liquidation heat maps. Here's our 24-hour on Bitcoin. You can see that we came up, right? Grabbed we came up, created some liquidity up here, and then we came down and we grabbed all the newly added liquidity from below us. We are starting to stack some more below us right here, but most of the weighted liquidity is above us starts at around 90,600 for about $55 billion. And it's, if you conclude this entire area as like a cluster, yeah, we got close to 130 million just above this recent peak that we created right here, which we can use for a exit plan for any potential longs that we might do, or a potential entry plan if we have the right structure for shorts. Okay, let's look at the 1 month. Yeah, it looks like that area is still a key area of interest. What price point is that? That is 90,700. Okay, from the previous high here. And we already have that liquidity marked on our chart there. All right, so we'll just focus on the more internal stuff then. Like right now we're at the point of control. We didn't take this low. We were awfully close. But we did grab the liquidity, obviously, from this slight regression trend. Right? So we could come down and get a local SFP while sweeping this low simultaneously. We can mark them just to make sure. This is all internal. It's internal to this low and this high on the hourly. So if we take this high, we'll get a change of character on the hourly. If we take this low, we would have a break of structure for continuation. Let's zoom in on the 15-minute here. Okay, so we have a supply concern up here that we can watch out for. That's in confluence with the volume shelf right here from the 40-day range. Just so I can I'll zoom out so I can show you what I mean by the volume shelf. This has been causing a bit of a headache for Bitcoin since we started this range. We used it a lot as support in the past, basically creating the volume shelf during that moment, and then it we created supply off of it, and we ended up using it as resistance since its creation. So here, right here to here is going to be an area of interest that can give us lots of opportunities for shorts. But if we manage to break past it with a break structure, then we can start looking at like the 50-day EMA, hourly order block, and the value area high as our next form of resistance. But this thing has just been creating events that have been stacking liquidity above us more and more. So we'll see if maybe the next time we come up there is the final time we can actually finally break through it and break this more macro potential ascending double bottom structure. But until then, we got to treat this as a threat and prepare for potential shorts off of it or an exit plan for potential longs. Send it back. You can mark momentum since we have that break structure. So we have the 5. Yeah, locally we have a 10-minute, 15-minute, and 5-minute order block here, right off the point of control. There we go. So prepare for a reaction off of this area, right? With the confluence of the point of control and the order blocks that we have down here, and the liquidity potentially being swept if we take the low. Prepare for a potential double bottom reaction. We're just tapped into supply, but it hasn't been fully mitigated. There might be liquidity right above here that can induce a reversal in confluence with that VWAP. So if we do get a long opportunity down here, let's say we get like a bullish change of character, we decide to enter a long to target the high, we'd have to watch the confluence of the local supply here. Depending on the speed, potentially the downtrending momentum, we can check the order books to see if there's a sell wall here, and the VWAP. We can mark right here. This is our supply concern, and I'm going to adjust it to mitigation here. Can prepare for an SFP of these two highs as well. Let's go right to the inner wick level there. So potential pathing, long opportunity here, potential exit plan here. Sorry for the cough there, guys. In hopes that we actually instead break above it, use it as support, and then run our way up towards the local resistance again. We've been ping-ponging back and forth here for, oh man. Yeah, this has been, 2 weeks now. Back and forth between the value area low, the point of control, and the, not even the value area high, just reaching that volume shelf. It's just been keeping us down. If we break through this point of control and continue to go down lower, then I would say even better, would have better confluence for longs down here than we would right here. This would be just short-term scalp stuff, but this could turn into something bigger, assuming that this is the last time we come down here, will be the last time we visit before breaking out of the range. So yeah, you technically would want it to come down here more for a potential long, so you can have that higher percentage chance of a better follow through to get out of this valley area that we've been trapped in for 40 days. But if you look at the past on the day here, we've had, this is the daily chart. So over here, when we came down to this area and the on-chain metrics kind of met the same kind of behavior, we were ranging here for about 40 days with the double bottom before we broke out. So we'll see if we get the same kind of scenario to occur, because we're at that 40-some day mark, right? I'd like to see us get back up here again. If we do get past this neckline on the macro, our big barrier of concern is this big supply zone right here. It peaks at 107.3. And I'll clean my chart up here this week, so when we do return back up there, we can, refine our levels a bit so it's not as noisy. Okay. But yeah, that's Bitcoin's local. That's my trade plan for today. It'll be a short-term scalp from here to here, potentially. If we break down lower, then I'll be sitting on my hands looking for a potential entry here, unless we find some like internal little scalp along the way. But what was the other opportunities here? Yeah, local like SFP off this, preferably off the low and not taking it off the high. But if you get the SFP opportunity and you get like a quick target, you could take it. So SFP, for anyone who's new to that, it's just a sweep of the low, and the candle that sweeps the low has to close above the wick level, basically right back into the range. And then your target is the most recent pullback. 2 candle consecutive pullback. Let's take a look at the chat. I'm gonna catch up to you guys here. You like my hair? I literally just stuck it in the sink before I got here. I had that terrible sleep all week, man. Let's see. Barge Builders up, Drake. How you doing, man? I'm loving your streams. Do you trade the Asia Open? I usually don't trade the Asian Open. If there's an opportunity there, I'll take it. And if I'm awake. But that's usually where I tend to stop trading. You normally trade between New York Open and New York close. But everyone, who follows my signals might, if I see an opportunity during Asia, I'll definitely take it. Let's see, chat. You want to see an evening stream? I got kids. That's the main reason why I trade New York. Kyle, it's not so many SFP since we cracked the SFP code. Yeah, but we did recently have the SFP, all of our rules met on an SFP over the holidays, and it played out so fucking well. It played out really well. So yeah, I'm excited because I'm going to back test some more of that strategy on my own. But there's I would like to have another 50 more samples on that strategy because it looks really promising. Now, once we prove that it's profitable, and we kind of already did, but once I get more samples in there, I'm going to add it as a lesson in the course, like how to trade that strategy that we created. Okay, what's up, Wave Cypher? You put real in front of your name. Was that there before? You got some impersonators you're dealing with, bro? Check Zcash and Uni. Yeah, we could do that. I'm just going to mark this newly formed order block here on the 5. Send it back. Okay. We have a potential flip happening right here. Break this neckline. Descending double tops are not usually ones I like. I prefer the ascending ones. You tend to have divergence on your side, and you get the change of character as well. Instead, we got this internal flip. If we break this low, we can break us back down to these lows, start taking this liquidity, and maybe give us the bullish structure that we need for a long into this area. But until then, I would recommend anyone who's interested in playing out this scenario, if it syncs with your rules, and you're not just listening to some YouTuber, I would recommend setting an alarm at around this peak low so you can get notified when price action gets there, so you're not staring at your screen all day, and they can wait for that bullish structure to scalp it to this potential neckline. And if we get a break above this area, you get the break of structure instead of an opposing change of character, then we can stay in the trade instead of exit and target this volume shelf again up here at 89.750. But this VWAP is going to be king during that moment, right? We got to watch the VWAP. Might even just take some profits despite the reaction, right? Once we get there, depending on what the risk to reward ratio is on your entry. All right, let's go. Let's pull up Zcash. We got a request to look at Zcash. I wonder how it's doing since the holidays. Last time we looked at Zcash was on the 15th. And here we are on the hourly. Okay, so last time we looked at it, yeah, we had this demand zone here from this impulse move up. You know, we had a pullback, another impulse move, creating an area of interest. We held as support a few times. And we came down, built a rounded double bottom off of it. A rounded bottom off of here. We were concerned about hitting our head off the supply, and we did, and it came down. But then we built a descending double bottom off of the 50-day EMA and came right back up and broke through it. We can delete some of that noise now, though. We don't need this anymore, because we will have to reuse it for some new key areas. We have one right here for potential longs. You can mark it from the wick high if you want to prepare for the test of the previous high for a support bounce. This whole zone here is giving me an area of interest. Got some hourly order blocks here before we had this impulse move up. Built a demand zone here as well. I could change this to green. Some of these might align better with Fibonacci, so you can stack some confluences with these demand zones and just wait for the reaction off of them. Okay, looks like we mitigated this whole supply zone that we got marked here, so this is a good spot to prepare for rejection. However, we are in a kind of situation where we've gotten above the point of control of this previous range, right? When you look at the supply and prepare for shorts, it would be more ideal if we got the rejection on the floor of the supply, right? Because now we got that acceptance into this valley area, and makes it less likely for the supply to induce a pullback out of this valley area. If we do get a short opportunity from this, it might be short-lived, no pun intended, because we're going to be testing this previous high, and we'll be testing the valley area low of this previous valley area. So yeah, basically what I'm saying is, if we're looking for shorts, just prepare for an exit plan around here, because it could induce a bounce to bring us back up, and maybe even test this valley area high again, since we got that proper acceptance already. So with Zcash, it looks like it's trying to settle for support for continuations to the valley area high. So lots of good confluence right here for potential longs. If you want to wait for the longer opportunity. And right now we have that bearish change of character. Get a proper pullback here, higher high. We kind of, it's showing as an SFP, but this is a change of character after we hit the body close below it. Let me just change the settings of that indicator really quick. There we go. Now, so we have that, yeah, bearish change of character. So it's kind of technically on that journey down. It's just being held up right now as that point of control based on the structure. So you could try your best to try to get in between I'd say that we have the golden pocket right here alongside the hourly order block at $535 for Zcash. The downside is the VWAP is kind of keeping it down for getting to that confluence. Let's see what the 15-minute structure looks like. 15-minute structure. Yeah. Like you could go in on the break of the low, but the R&R to the risk, because we're worried about this point control and this demand zone here, preventing us from getting to that value area low. You almost want to kind of prefer it to come here, but then you would have the VWAP against you. So it really is dependent on the structure if we do get up there. So good confluence here for shorts off this zone right here. And we can delete this back box. It's just if we take that short, then the VWAP will no longer be on your side. So just gotta be a little cautious of the VWAP there. Maybe depending on the positioning, you can get something like price action coming up, testing the VWAP, and then getting that change of character, and then closing below the VWAP simultaneously for a short, but kind of ugly. I'd personally be looking around for other opportunities or sitting on my hands waiting for the long opportunity down below where the value area low is if we come back down to retest that. And down here. If we instead get the higher high, giving us the bullish change character off this high, then I'll be looking left and watching for any wick levels along the way towards the value high. Any supply concerns or wick levels that could have liquidity resting above it that can induce an SFP and return us back down. I don't think this one's been swept yet. Yeah. Kind of front ran it a little bit with a tweezer reaction. Let's see, cash man. I hope it helps. But yeah, around 472 would be the ideal location to prepare for longs. After we get the like a bullish change of character around that area. Bitcoin, how you doing, man? All right, starting to come down. Nice. I'll make sure I save the Zcash chart for you in case you need it. There you go. Let's see what we got in the chat. Get something nice for Christmas. Show us those Bitcoin stocks. I got Bitcoin stocks from a community member a couple of years ago. They're pretty awesome. When my dad got me one of those Bitcoin coins, like one of these things. You guys can barely, there you go. One of these things. And my sister and his boyfriend got me a InvestiShare t-shirt or sweater. So I'll be wearing that at my next live, which is pretty cool. Can we take a look at Solana? Yeah, we can do that. Let's see how that's going. Solana. Oh, nice. Okay. Got some. Looks like it's pairing for a short here. Don't know what that's there for. Let me take a look. Oh, this key level here, if broken, it looks like we're pairing for potential shorts. It's a weird spot. Local support. So I can get a separate value area here from this supply. We include it to the active price action. We mitigated it all here. Some internal range. Zoom out. So Solana is in a really important spot. So we're fighting against this structural valley area low. That's 252 days old from when we were ranging in the past over here, right? So this is the valley area low right here that we're fighting to try to get acceptance back inside, right? And then this could help drive the price back up to around like 170 if we manage to get past that structural point of control at 144, where there's a bunch of liquidity pooled above. So there's good reasoning to go up there. It's just you just want to make sure that you're not jumping in on a long just because the price is good, right? Because we are currently fighting against the valley area low. If we get that lower low, then we confirm that valley area as resistance, and we can start seeing like 106 again for Solana. So I'm hoping that we don't get that lower low this time around, and we get a bullish change of character soon. Get it close back above the structural valley area low, acceptance back inside this valley area that we've been ranging in for 34 days. So Solana against Bitcoin right now is showing relative weakness because based on Solana's positioning against Bitcoin, like Solana's outside of its core valley area that we were ranging within down here, when it should be placed like somewhere around here relative to Bitcoin. So it's got a little bit of weakness against it right now. But we know how alts go. If they recover and they want to recover, they do it aggressively and quickly before anyone can get in. So I'd get planning for a potential reversal here. What you'd need to see is basically how you'd want to try to enter it is around an entry around this valley area low, this local support around 120. Right, either be a sweep off these lows because Solana loves doing SFPs, or a bullish change of character, right, with acceptance into the local valley area, in hopes that you're front running the break of this valley area high. Otherwise, like if you don't get the bullish structure of a bullish break of structure here, I'd prepare for exiting here instead. But if you do get that proper acceptance into this valley area, and we manage to get above 132 and get acceptance inside there, and then we can start seeing a rotation back up to around 144 again, and hopefully finally break through it. But yeah, if I were to draw a pathing tool, yeah, I'd be looking for longs around here and targeting here or above. It'd be reactional depending on how we behave around that area. And then based on this posture, if we do come down here, this could be a supply risk that we can hit our head off of. So this would be the first spot that you would want to watch that could prevent us from going any further up. All right, mitigate this order block. Delete that. Okay, next request was Uni. Don't think we have a uni chart. We do have a uni chart. Last time I looked at was September 5th. Uniswap's a good asset to short because of its tokenomics. Very inflationary. All right. So Uniswap has been, let me include that in the poll here, guys. That demand zone too. Okay, Uniswap has been ranging in here for 774 days. We're at the valley area low for that multi-year valley area. We delete this stuff. Yeah, it looks like the last time we looked at it was when we were basically preparing for it to die. We had this uptrending momentum at the valley area high, just barely tapped into the supply up here. And we're talking about the liquidity being stacked, getting ready for the move up. And then it came, yeah, it lost the momentum, used it as resistance, and came down from there. We had a moment where we broke momentum again, met all the rules for the clairvoyant strategy when we broke this high on the daily. Then went right to the value high again. So we're kind of, we'll be looking for that bullish change of character again. And looks like we may have already happened. Yeah, so here on the daily we flip bullish. This is all internal because of this ugly wick. This wick has messed up the charts for a lot of people. So we have an internal change of character. We got an SFP, unfortunately, here, a bearish one. And it's currently targeting this low from the daily SFP. But let's look at the internal, let's look at the lower time frame structure and see if it tells us a better story. Oh yeah, look at that liquidity curve is insane. No doubt we'd be coming up there for it. Yeah, this is the moment here. Flip bullish. Ran up, built this little demand zone. Right here. From this impulse move up, base of structure, impulse move up, trade demand. So when you have that opposing change of character, you'd be treating this as your range floor, preparing for it to bounce. We get the inverse head and shoulders bounce. It looks like we kept fighting against this EMA. What do I have there for an EMA? Is that the 50? Yeah, 50 day. And right now we're fighting for support off the 50-day EMA and these previous highs. But right now it's looking kind of weak. We had a inside bar pullback. So basically another way of saying an improper pullback. This is the mother candle right here. And then we had 2 consecutive candle pullback, which normally would define a proper pullback, but you need to breach above this high or this low when you have a pullback like this. So improper pullback. So you can't really prepare for an hourly bullish change of character around this area unless we build more structure. 15-minute structure. With this downtrending momentum. Uniswap is also a good asset to like keep an eye out on the news of this token. They have a burn schedule similar to like Pancake Swap that you got to keep an eye out on that could go against your trades. But this is a very inflationary asset, so like shorts tend to work out better than longs. Doesn't mean the longs aren't there, of course, but you would statistically it would be more in your favor to short. Look for short opportunities. But right now, looks like the best thing to wait for is longs. We're at a structural valley area lows here. The 770 plus day valley area low at 569. And the local demand zone right here, which I'll flip to green for psychology. Pull a fib from this low to this high. See, they're saying Fibonacci confluence. Nothing to note about really other than this previous high here being in line with this golden pocket. So if we dip down below, we can prepare for a bounce off of that area. But otherwise, yeah, look for the front run. Right now it's about here, I'll be looking for a bullish change of character, break up this downtrending momentum, and then targeting the high. Bitcoin still doing the slow creep and long way down. Take a look at Solana. Okay, cool. Did that. What do I think about Jupe? I can look at Jupe's price action. My opinion on Jupe, that I think it's a great asset. The only downside is their airdrop strategy is great for getting holders, of course, but it has a poor conversion rate. So whenever they do an airdrop, you gotta be looking for shorts, guys, because it tends to lead to a bearish reaction from the sell pressure, because they're not doing buybacks on the airdrops. They're pulling it right from the supply, the liquidity. So they're essentially using investors' money to market, which is, I know it's a very common thing in crypto. So just be aware of when the airdrops occur. You could use that as confluence for potential big shorts. So Jupe. We don't have a Jupe chart, so I'll pull it up here. Go on Binance. All right, zooming out. Yeah, this thing is kind of in a forever downtrend right now. This is our downtrending momentum. This is the pace of the sellers ever since December 1st, 2024. So we've been, after we broke this range demand zone, and we've been in a downtrend for 393 days on Jupe. And we haven't claimed this wick. We don't have to claim this wick, but it does make everything internal and ugly for trading. So we'll be looking for internal bullish change of character. We should mark our two core valley areas here. We have a core valley area right here where the supply is. That's been mitigated. And then we lost this demand zone here. So we got that valley area here. And we have this valley area here. This will help tell us a story of continuations, right? So let's say, for example, we range here and we break to the upside and we get acceptance into this valley area. Then we can extend our target to the valley area high while being mindful of the point of control, all that stuff. Basically just using this data to know when we can get continuations, when we finally do get that reversal. But right now it's just looking pretty rough. There's no sign of reversal yet. We're kind of in a, I'll be treating this almost like we're in price discovery despite this wick, and just looking at psychological levels, like rounded numbers, like 10 cents, 8 cents, 14 cents, stuff like that. We found support here around 17 cents. We broke the downtrend momentum, so it looks like the buyers are starting to wake up, but we don't have like a bullish change of character or anything. So like this is the daily posture. Let's go to the hourly for a second, because we can see that we got this like bear flag kind of structure. It looks like we have a sell wall based on the behavior. Supply here. The back. This could be inducing a range. Uptrending momentum here. You see we lost that momentum and we got that bearish change of character. So you can put your, during that moment when you lost momentum at supply, you stop loss here, entry off of that. Unless you're looking for a pullback, because that's a pretty steep stop loss. Be targeting where the liquidity basically ends, right here. And we have barriers along the way, of course, that you want to watch out for. So if you have an opposing reaction, you might want to take some off the table. Like here's a good spot to prepare for an opposing reaction at the hourly order block. So if you have a bullish internal change of character here, it takes them off the table, but you're hoping for that break of structure continuation instead. Because if we get that low taken on the daily, then our key level on the daily will rotate likely to this high. Let's double check. Just want to make sure that we have a proper pullback. We do. Okay, we got a proper pullback here. So if this low gets taken on the daily, then this will become a key level for a daily bullish change of character for more of a macro reversal, where I would start targeting basically this valley area low in hopes that we get acceptance for a continuation with a little bit of barriers along the way. I'm not too concerned about this. It's a descending regression trend. We stacked a decent amount of liquidity above these highs based on the order flow posture. So if we come up there, we should make our way to take that liquidity, and we might reach to hit the supply and come down, or we might just stop here and come down. But yeah, that's kind of posture that I'll be hoping for any jupe holders, for us to take this low so then we can evolve this key level, get that bullish change of character so you can have more trade participants to drive the price up. But until then, it looks pretty bearish, and it looks like it's on its way down to that low. This is a key level to watch out for. You can use fibs from the low to the high. This golden pocket's a good spot to watch out for. I'll just be marketing this wick right here. It's pretty close to being in line with that golden pocket. We might get that aggressive bounce SFP. If we close below it instead, then we'll be just coming right down to this low. That's jupe. I hope that helps you out. Go back to Bitcoin. Now, one thing I haven't done in a while, because of the holidays, is look at the on-chain metrics. I want to see how that has evolved. Oh, we might be breaking momentum here, briefly. Let's go to coin, Glassnode. Can we look at XRP? Yeah, we can look at XRP. Gotta log into this thing. Dashboard. Okay, let's wait for this to load here. Well, while that's chugging along, let's look at XRP. If this takes too long to load, sometimes there's like a JavaScript issue. I'll just do a post in the Discord of all the on-chain stuff for you guys. I'm curious to see how it evolved over the holidays. If we got a bunch of new investors and old investors come out. Here's our XRP chart. So we were preparing for a bearish move last time. We had this apex point being met right here, kind of a squeeze event. We anticipated for it to break like at or prior to this area, because in crypto, for anyone who's aware, it's a pretty darn impatient space. So we tend to have our breaks when we have two trend lines meet, where the pace of the buyers and the pace of the sellers are kind of converging. You create what's called an apex point. And this is the apex point is just basically the point where the two trend lines meet. Right here is the apex point. And we tend to break out 30% prior to the apex point. So if you visualize this like a big loading bar, right? When we get to around 70% is where we tend to break out a majority of the time. And you see here we flipped out. We lost this area. You still got to watch the valley area and all the other barriers along the way, of course. But when we break to the downside here, this will be your technical target. And we lost this valley area. We used as resistance during this moment. And then we came down and we basically fractalized, created the same structure from here, right here. Building supply, like bear pennant, supply, bear pennant. Let's see if we do it again. Let's zoom out on this thing. I'm gonna get rid of this noise. We're gonna delete this. And just move it right here where we have this hourly order block. Got downtrend momentum. We breached it for a moment. And again, this is we swept this low this time. If you don't have to go down, but I'm curious to see what the liquidity looks like from here to here. It's 14 days, a 2-week liquidation heat map. I'm gonna go over to XRP on this chart. Looks like there's more below us. Okay. So $1.79, where's where it starts to go cold from that. Okay. So we do have quite a bit of liquidity stacked below us here. From basically this point here down to 179 right here. So all through here is basically a liquidity in the form of liquidations. So around this area you can prepare for potential longs. We don't have to come all the way down to hit this, but if we do tap this, the high side of this order block, we don't have to come all the way down to the low side, but if we come all the way to the high side of this order block, we would have taken all the liquidity. And we had more of a reason to go up from there. If you look at this behavior, we've stacked liquidity here, here, and here. We haven't taken any. We haven't been taking these highs. Right? So if we grab this liquidity, this would be a great entry plan to prepare for an exit plan, I would say around the previous point of control of this previous valley area low here at $2. And just watch your berries along the way. I'd maybe mark this. Do like any kind of identifier for you to know that it's liquidity. And prepare for longs here. All right, what about Karma? Will it get listed anytime soon? I sent out an email to CMC They're just taking a little while, I guess. We met all the criteria. They've already halfway listed us. But I sent them the email during the holidays, and I haven't got back from them yet. Cross my fingers here. But I'll keep you guys up to date. Once that's done, we're going to have a lot more cool updates for Karma. Good morning, Island Man. What's up? Cardano is a request. Let's take a peek at Cardano. ADA. Looks like we swept this high, eh? Came right down. Oh, we took that low as well. Cool, okay. I'm gonna zoom out on this thing. So Cardano obviously has been in a downtrend. We even had a death cross, but yeah, we've been in a downtrend for about 138 days. What I'm hoping for, is a strong reversal structure, and we are kind of starting to build it. But just like Solana, Cardano has a little bit of relative weakness against Bitcoin. Bitcoin's still in its active range, and Cardano and Solana are still getting lower lows, right? So we're starting to see people exit mostly from alts versus Bitcoin. We just had a 4-hour bearish internal change of character here. It looks like it's on its way back. It's testing these previous highs. I'd pull a fixed range volume profile from here to here. If we mitigated this supply, I would have included it in the pull, but instead we used it as resistance. We didn't fully mitigate it. Let's grab lower time frame. Oh, nice. I like this posture because it's pretty straightforward for what you need to seed for a long. Just clean, breaks the structure along the way. Got some fair value gaps. So I'll be looking for we're approaching this local little demand zone here. I'll be looking for longs as we approach the value area low at 35.66 for a bullish change of character, break of momentum, start targeting the value area high while being mindful of any supply issues like this and the point of control. We can delete that. But I like Solana's posture. It's clean. Yeah, I'll be looking for longs down here, guys. Let's mark this level. Grab a fib from the low to the high. You can see that it's aligned with the valley area low. So we have golden pocket confluence, valley area low confluence. Now we just need the structural confluence alongside the break of momentum. And we got yourself the clairvoyant strategy rules we met during that moment. Ideally we want our pullback to be a low point. We get 2 candle proper pullback, 2 consecutive pullback, as low as we can get it. So when we get that bullish change of character, we have great R&R to that value area high. This is where I'll be looking for longs, guys. All right. Lines up with order book at 1.80. Out of all the setups we looked at today, Cardano is the cleanest. So that's between Bitcoin and Cardano, whatever. I'd probably prefer the Cardano setup, honestly. whatever structure we get when we confirm the setup in our zone of interest. It'll be based on the R&R and what kind of the least amount of barriers between those two assets. Alrighty. I got about 15 more minutes left, guys. Let's take a peek at XPL. What is XPL? USDT. I'm not even sure what this is. Let's zoom out on this thing. Daily looks rough, but look at that. Setting a regression trend here. Looks like it's setting us up for a great long. Our daily key level pullback. It's way up here. In terms of structure, we don't flip bullish on the daily until we get close above that high. Unless we take this low. Right here. Supply mitigated. Mitigated. Yes, we had supplies on here and here. It kind of helped the price stay down, built the range, had this double bottom built, and we finally broke out of that double bottom neckline right here. We pulled back and retested the momentum. We got that higher high, break a structure. We had the confidence of breaking the neckline of the double bottom and finding support off the momentum. And we have this uptrending momentum. Oops, my bad. This uptrending momentum here. A little bit of negative space. A key level here for a bearish change of character. Off this low. So we could fill this negative space with a bounce. And maybe build a head and shoulders kind of posture, lose momentum and get that bearish change of character. And then you'd be looking at like supply demand zones along the way that could induce a reversal from there. So yeah, this guy I'd be waiting for potential like short-term shorts for a potential long for a macro break of this high. But yeah, right now it's just I'll be sitting on my hands waiting for a short. So if you're not in a long, right, you're looking for an exit plan for a long, or you're looking for a short to retrace. And I accidentally did this on my Cardano chart, so I gotta pull up. All right, perfect. Okay. Okay, guys, I've got to head out. All right. Can you explain an order block in a nutshell? Okay, I'll explain that question really quick, and then I got to head out. An order block is a candle pattern that helps you identify certain forms of behaviors going on in the background, right? So if you see like a doji reaction like this, it's a form of indecision, right? Majority of the time you're going to see a doji with an order block, and then you're going to see like an impulse move up that engulfs the doji, has to be above the wick. And then this is the candlestick pattern you kind of look for like a bullish order block. And the order block is right here. And basically what the story this is telling us is that there's a decent chance of residual orders in this location. that still need to be filled. So if we come back to this area, we can prepare for longs off of it, right? And if we have the opposite reaction, it looks just like it, except the candle engulfs below us. And then this is the order block right here. And the center point is called the equilibrium point of the order block, where some traders need that to be tapped for their rules to be met. Some people only need it tapped on the top side or any point to get their rules met. Some people only respect the order block if it's only been tapped, if it's been tapped once, but if after that they won't touch it. For me, like, if I see it tapped on the just breaching the outside of it, I'll still be mindful of it in case there could be residual orders near the equilibrium point or lower. But a majority of the time, I just want that first tap, and then you get that strong reaction for a good trade. Especially if there's stacked confluences, because the more confluences there are, the more likely there are going to be more trade participants. A lot of people do not jump in on order blocks by themselves. They want to see like this be aligned with a valley area low or a golden pocket with Fibonacci, or a buy wall in the order books, or a volume shelf, right? To increase your probability of getting that higher win rate. But that's an order block. I hope that helps you out. I have a lessons on it in the courses as well. That's included in your membership. So if you're a member, then you just log into your account, and you'll be able to have access to order block lessons too. But I hope that helps. All right, guys, you have a great day. I'll be doing a bunch of posts today because it's been a while with the holidays. It's been a week without the charts, feels like 10 years. So I'll be catching up with everybody and doing a bunch of posts on the new market data. Luckily, there's not that much that's changed because the market has barely moved over the holidays. But yeah. All right, guys, you have a great day. Thanks for watching. Thank you for subscribing, sharing, liking. It's been helping the channel grow. We're starting to get up there. But yeah, I'm really excited for the new year. I got some cool plans that I want to share with the community. And yeah, I'm going to be building a mentorship program. Pretty excited. No extra cost for members or anything like that. It's just going to be included. All right, guys, you have a great day, and I'll see you soon.